Aquarius, this is your February 2022 soul story. This month you're going to have a crash course in revisiting your expectations. This is Romy. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to break down the astrological conversation and give you some intuitive messages to help you move through the next few weeks. And so we're opening up with the energy of the Seven of Pentacles for you, Aquarius. Being ready to be ready. This is a part where we really do want you to lean in. And I love how she's incredibly focused on that aspect of the inner self. And you can see it's almost like there's mirrored images of her here, as if there are parts of her from an energy perspective that are just putting that really firm, clear boundary in place. Now, of course, the Seven of Pentacles is about deep assessment. Now, we're going to be waking up from a lot of the retrograde energies, notably coming out of Venus retrograde, and on the 3rd of the month out of Mercury retrograde. And so what has changed? Well, the real medicine for you this month is in the richness of rooting those ideas in. And we've got a new moon in your sign coming in on the 31st of January, 1st of February. So right from the get-go, you've got this beautiful burst of energy that's very supportive in helping you to really look at some radical new ideas, radical new intentions. And in fact, your intent for well-being is going to be front and center stage through the course of February. I really want you to pay attention to that. And what the guides are saying here is it's so important that you try as much as possible through the month of February to come from a neutral perspective, because all of your power comes from that neutrality. It gives you the opportunity to move very quickly. Sometimes when we get very intense or very set or very fixed on a certain idea, certain opinion, a certain way of doing things, and then there are lots of fast changes that start to come in, which is going to be the continued energy of 2022. Have you felt it already, how different it is? So yeah, what you want to be is coming from that place of balance, and that's really going to help you to make adjustments in your world and in your pathway much more readily. 8 of Pentacles, so we're getting lots of nice earth energy coming through straight away for you with this month. And it's really about the redefining of your purpose in many aspects. Now, when we talk about purpose, you know, it can be whatever is front and center for you at this moment in time. You know, if you still feel like you're unsure or unclear, Mars in Capricorn energy all the way through February is going to give you this sense of deliberate focus. It's going to give you some stamina and endurance. And I do have a sense that you're going to want to invest or put your time and energy towards something that you can quite clearly see, Aquarius, is going to be very supportive of what you do next. Okay, so it may be something that you're still revisiting, or that, you know, is coming into your pathway at just the right time. Pay attention to some of the synchronicity that, you know, comes up in relation to that, especially around the time of the new moon. Now, we also have Juno, the asteroid goddess, shifting into your sign of Aquarius. Of course, she rules equality, social customs, marriage and partnerships. And in your sign, it's about experiencing more freedom, having a greater degree of individuality, and being able to really pursue your own level of radical authenticity. And so even within your current relationships, business partnerships, or, you know, some of the more conventional aspects of your life, you know, you should be prepared that through the month of February, you'll be looking to initiate some bigger changes and perhaps start to focus on a strategy that gives you a lot more time and space to perhaps be able to fulfill and follow through on some of the things that have been calling you. And there's no doubt that that Venus retrograde has had an impact for you in terms of your value consciousness. Now's the time when you start to think about the seeds of intention and where you want to take that. Doesn't mean it's all going to show up through this month of February, but we're definitely starting to see much more clarity of thought for you. Divine wisdom is everything, and the way in which you are aligning and adapting to the faster paced frequency now is quite extraordinary. In fact, if you haven't already, expect through the month of February to see some incredible shifts and changes in your own awareness, your own intuition, how much sharper things feel, how much more tuned in and aware you are to certain things. Now, we talked about how this month is going to be a crash course in expectations. What do I mean by that? Well, it's about your relationship to them. You know, this is what's going through a bigger overhaul. And to a certain degree, you've already been working with this through much of the Venus and Mercury retrograde transits, okay? And perhaps even towards, you know, bigger pathways that have been playing out through the course of 2021. The Chariot says now it's time to move forward, because it's so often where our expectations within relationships and to ourselves, it's what we want versus actually what we're asking for, versus what you think you're getting, versus the meaning that you're attaching to it, what you think other people want from you. So all of these things are going to be really sharply highlighted in all aspects and areas of your life in February, Aquarius. I want you to pay close attention to that. Now, Mercury will go direct in Capricorn on the 3rd, but it does re-enter your sign of Aquarius on the 14th of the month, okay? So again, giving you a time to catch up very quickly in terms of some of the ideas and conversations. I love the Chariot energy for you. It's purposeful. What we need to remember is that we have to start to really address with a greater deliberate intention the removal of some of the chronic stressors that have really impacted and been impeding your ability to move forward. And if you can't completely remove them, Aquarius, then what's going to take place through the course of February is a complete shift in how you relate to them, the meaning that you're attaching and the influence that you give them. And you know what? Seriously, a little does go a long way. So even if you're making very small adjustments, putting boundaries in place that just give you that little bit more oxygen, that little bit more breathing space, you know, from either certain individuals or certain things in your life that seem like they've just been slowly starting to take over. So the Page of Swords coming right up in the middle of your reading. I love this energy for you. She's looking very defined and purposeful. That sword of truth cutting right through everything right now. Now, the way that she's kind of tuned in to what's going on clairaudiently for her suggests to me that you are going to be hearing things, perhaps hearing on the grapevine, or you're going to actually receive something by way of a phone call that's going to be very significant for you. Perhaps for some of you that is going to be connected to purpose, to job and career, as we look at some of the redefining that's going to be taking place. There's something beautiful about the way that you are weaving in some of the old and the new. It's like you've taken the best of the experience of something, but you're also opening up and welcoming and ushering in something that feels very different for you. It's that very unique blend that you're seemingly much more comfortable with, is what I want to say, through the month of February, that I think is going to help you to make progress very, very quickly. Now, the Chariot comes in with a cardinal energy, also links into the sign of Cancer. I want to sort of track back even just to January with that Cancer full moon, because there was something that was healing and cathartic about your ability to let go, to release. Perhaps you needed to find some forgiveness. It may have taken some processing, but what you're going to find through February is you get to a point where you're actually feeling like, you know what, I'm ready to let this go. Because what we really want to be focusing on is something around this idea of contentment, of acceptance. And it's interesting, I guess I'm going to challenge you, Aquarius, through this month of February to really address what you truly feel about those words and how loaded they may feel. What's your expectation around them? You know, does it feel that acceptance is like almost got a negative connotation, that somehow contentment is like feeling lazy or feeling like boredom? Because you're having to kind of readdress what your whole relationship is to what makes you happy and what you're going to be putting in place to support that from this point forth. And sometimes we can end up justifying ourselves, justifying so much to other people and to the self why we're doing something. And it's kind of, I suppose the question I want to say to you is, who are you trying to convince? So if you really find that that's happening for you through the course of February, it's a really good opportunity to kind of take a check-in and say, is this actually what I want? Why am I trying so hard to justify that it is the right way forward or the right thing to do? Because what you're really creating, I suppose, is this robbing of what it is that you actually want to feel or what you truly feel about it, okay? Remember that the softer you become, the stronger you become. And I know that there's perhaps a part of you that feels like you still have to harden up because perhaps you're going through some things that still feel like they're in the wrong order in your life, or you know that you're about to have to come into contact, into face, and to deal with something. But remember, February is one of these months, and it will be continuing to echo throughout 2022, where we have this highest of the high, lowest of the low, but the cycle is changing so fast. And you have this ability, Aquarius, to start to face things that you've never been able to before, in ways you've never been able to before. There's a new level of emotional sort of maturity that comes, of spiritual wisdom that's being gained. We have this really powerful, potent gateway on the 2nd of February with the 222, and this is a phenomenal opportunity for you to really start to assess what has changed for me energetically. How do I feel different? You really have to sort of stop and give yourself the time to actually ask those questions and then listen and feel into what the answers are. Now, you've got the Page of Wands here. There is an offer coming forth. There's a fire burning here. So there's somebody that's very passionate about what they want to say or what they want to present to you, okay? But for me, they look a little bit unsure, perhaps unsure as to how you're going to receive it, what you're going to have to say about it. And maybe it's because they've taken some time to get to this point. Perhaps it's because they've already perhaps acted or spoken in a certain way that, you know, maybe they're a little bit regretful around. So look out for that coming in. I do feel that there's an earnestness here that's coming through. And if nothing else, I think it's important for you to give yourself the opportunity just to hear what they have to say or to see what's on offer. And that way you can make sure that you're not really misunderstanding anything, and that you kind of have the full picture of perhaps what actually went on you know, behind the scenes. Because often during those retrograde haze, remember that Venus spell that we talked about, you know, could have really had you disappearing around a rabbit hole in terms of the stories that you've been telling yourself about what you thought was actually going on. So I see more clarity and purposeful conversation coming in. Again, that Mars in Capricorn is going to be really supportive of that. We also have Ceres, the asteroid goddess, shifting into the sign of Gemini. She's connected to the harvest and the cycles, how we align to the natural rhythms of the earth. And of course, in Gemini, she's nurturing the higher mind. And it's about the recognition of what other people's stories are as much as our own. And so that dialogue can become a very healing practice for you as you really start to, I suppose, give yourself the opportunity to walk in other people's shoes and hope that they can do the same for you, so that new levels of tolerance and understanding can really start to come through. Now, you've got the High Priestess energy coming in here along with divine wisdom. So I know that from a spiritual perspective, there's a tremendously quick advancement for you taking place through February, just in your own levels of consciousness and awareness opening up, awakening happening around you. You're also going to be seeing it with people who you are most directly in contact with, and that's going to start to change some of the relationship dynamics. And even if it's something that you want, i.e., finally people are sort of seeing things from your perspective, or you're able to start to talk about things that perhaps, you know, have previously felt a bit taboo or they've been closed off to, it can still feel a little bit uncomfortable to sort of almost try to find a new balance and a new sense of resonance with one another. So don't be too hard on yourself or that person as you try to figure out what the new dynamic looks like. But you have this level of magnetism and the majesty that is you. I love the way that there's such a sense of purposefulness through this reading in February for you. It's asking for this radical new self-respect and acceptance that's emerged through your Venus rebirth to really start to be initiated. You know, you've had this rite of passage now. What are you going to do with it? And I suppose what we want to remind you of in February is that, you know, we don't want you so intent on trying to perfect the future. We want you intent on perfecting your now, because that's the very thing that's going to be pre-paving what gets delivered and what's going to start to show up for you. So I absolutely want you through that new moon in Aquarius to be visualizing and manifesting and setting things in motion. But also, how can you address what's happening immediately around you and find a deeper sense of acceptance and contentment within that? Because it's from, like we said, that neutrality that you're really finding this much more empowered energy with which to work with. And like we said, a little goes a long way. So lean right in, and understand what it is that you're attaching meaning to and how that's impacting you. Eight of Cups is saying there's something to let go of. There's something to move away from. Now we've got the full moon this month in the sign of Leo, your 7th house energy. Does it bring a little drama? Always. Will there be things that you feel exceptionally passionate about at that time? Yes. Will you perhaps want to make a statement, is what I feel when I'm looking at that Eight of Cups? Yes, I think you will. But I have a sense that it almost feels like, even though it's a symbolic kind of energy of sort of walking away, it's not that there's a complete door closed. I feel like you have to release something. And as much as I think that this may be walking away from a physical experience, i.e. a job, a home, a life setup, or even a person, there's something also that you have to let go of within yourself. And I think you've been working on that for some time, Aquarius, and it may be through those retrograde energies and some of those more, probing, difficult aspects that we had with Venus and Pluto, that you were really kind of plunged back into something. Now is when you start to feel free and a little bit more liberated to kind of really address something. Like I said, you're going to be able to face things in February that you never have before. So there's much less self-avoidance than there's been. And we have Pallas, Athena, moving into Aries on the 14th. And here her wisdom and strategy brings fast solutions. It brings this really pioneering, determined, cardinal, fiery energy forth. This is going to be really supportive for you as well. And then 17th through the 21st, we've got some gorgeous aspects with Jupiter sextiling Uranus, bringing a deeper, richer expansion for you and a sense of personal freedom, just ahead of us moving into Pisces season, where, for you, we start to then really think about value and address things in our life in terms of how much abundance we're actually allowing to come towards us. And so the removal of blocks around that, either financially, in terms of, how good we feel within the body, within our relationships. This is also going to go through a really beautiful time of complete rebirth for you. And you're going to start to see actually the sheer amount of change that's actually taken place by some of the adjustments that you've been making within the self, some of the mindset things that have started to really land for you in a more powerful way. But remember, it's all about expectations. And if we're getting a crash course, there is a suggestion from Spirit that you'll have some tests around that. So it means that there will be probably some unrealistic expectations that will come your way, both that you may have of others may have of you. But again, there's this invitation to go deeper and sort of look at it in all of the layering, and most importantly to think about what it is that you want and how that's translating in what you're asking for. Because the suggestion here to me with the Eight of Wands and the fast movement, things are already in motion. It's almost like you don't even think before you speak, and it's out there. And if you stopped in that just nanosecond, you would realize, I'm not actually asking for what I really want here. I'm asking for what they, that I think they think I want, or for how I feel I need to present it in order to get what I want. So there's a little bit of a removal of perhaps some of the game playing that's gone on for you, personally, professionally, within a family dynamic. And some of these sort of relationship patterns, they've become very ingrained and set in stone over a long period of time, and you can end up sort of projecting them into all of the connections that come into your life. And this is a time when, like we said, the majesty of you just wants something different. And in the medicine, which is really this richness of rooting into a different way of being, you are in a really powerful position to start to communicate in new ways. And people are going to start to respond to that really powerfully. And I want you to not underestimate that. And you are going to start to see things showing up through this month that will, I think, surprise and delight you in some ways. You know, each and every opportunity that you have to either remove these chronic stressors or the way that you're relating to them, create space for some of the new things to start to show up in your path. So let's take a look at the oracle cards, see how they want to join the conversation. You have 22, don't we love that? Okay, so we're working with such powerful numerology by way of this 22 through the course of this year. And you have the word commit, and we've got this dancer who's showing incredible flexibility here. So I want to say this is also about being flexible in order to commit to something that matters or is important. Now, Mars and Capricorn energy, really supportive. She's at the top of the mountain here. You've already scaled something. All of this kind of spiritual energy wrapped around her, this beautiful portal. So pay attention to what's coming through on the 2nd of the month, also the 22nd of the month. I feel like you're going to get some really strong signs. Think about what you want to commit to, how flexible you may need to be in order for some of that to start to come into being in a way that you can really receive. You know, we talked a lot about your readiness to receive in the last few months and how important that is. But I also think for some of you, you'll be revisiting important conversations from a relationship perspective around commitment, and you might start to receive much more positive insights, although I still feel we need to kind of wait till the shadow period of Venus and Mercury are fairly cleared out, you know, probably closer into March before you start to see things in terms of actions really speaking more loudly. Okay, so your astrology card for this month is the Square, a challenging situation and a mountain to climb. Well, we've got the mountain and you can see that you've already scaled it. So that's the important thing that I want to say to you. Squares, of course, are really important for us to experience because what they also help to do is to unearth that diamond within us. Sometimes without the pressure, we don't know what we're capable of, and we don't know what someone else is made of. We don't know if a relationship can withstand some of the challenges. We don't know if, you know, put in a certain environment that actually we're still going to have the heart to follow through with a certain job or a decision that we've made. So these squares are so valuable in giving you much more clarity about where you want to be. And with the amount of communication that's showing up in your February reading, I think that you're going to feel definitely able to express and to talk about it. So this is the positive thing, because I'm not seeing this avoidance. So where you do feel under pressure, where there are situations that are arising for you, you're having the time here to then say, right, okay, you know, this is what it's doing, this is how it's making me feel, this is what I need. Remember, it's a crash course on expectations. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be seeing. And even though we have the highest of highs, we are going to have some moments where it feels like, you know, what on earth just happened? The rug just got pulled. But it didn't. It really didn't. What happened was there was a moment where Spirit wanted you to reassess something from a very realistic perspective, you know, so that you don't go on a wild goose chase with yourself, with someone else, or end up going down a path that isn't actually meant for you. So these squares are going to be very important. Not easy though to deal with, of course. Now, I also want you to pay attention around the 4th of the month. We've got some really beautiful lucky energies coming in. Mars sextiling Jupiter, the Sun conjunct with Saturn. It just feels like, again, you can ground something in. You've got more confidence to actually speak up if you've got anything going on where you want to be sharing or promoting or presenting. This is going to be a wonderful time for you. Your animal energy card is the Flamingo Spirit. Embrace the in-between. Some of you may still be feeling that way, like I am not where I want to be. I'm really still holding on or having to process a lot of the legacy energy of different situations in my life, still releasing from 2021. But again, the Flamingo Spirit is quite almost defiant in its ability to just own how it looks, own its space, own how vibrant and audacious it can be in terms of how it wants to dance, how it wants to connect. And so there's nothing sort of shy and retiring about this. It's just like, just be all in. And I think there's something about this energy of February that says lean in, be all in, but at the same time find that sense of neutral within it, because then you can move fast. And when the energies and the opportunities do show up, which they're going to, you're going to be ready and, you know, really observant of it. That's what I'm going to say. You're not going to miss anything this month. Yeah, you're not going to miss the detail. I suppose one of the questions I feel like is coming through spiritually is, you know, how do I hold my light? How do I hold my light when I'm dealing with the blind spot, or I feel like I'm walking through the darkness? I feel like I'm in this shadow energy. And the recognition is that the very fact that you're still there and you're still aware that you are where you are is your alignment to the light. And that is the thing that's going to keep carrying you through. It's going to keep carrying you forward. This is a time, like I said, when you can face things that you've never faced before, and it's on your terms, Aquarius. It's on your terms. This is important. So there's lots of news and communication making its way to you. I want to say just have an open mind, because some of the things that come in might feel a bit strange or misplaced. You might be like, well, I don't know why you think I would like that, or I don't know why you thought I would be interested in them. You know, so there's a bit of this kind of, they've got me wrong, they've read me wrong. But actually what Spirit is saying is, no, I think there's a part of you you're about to tap into, you're about to discover that actually through this month of February, you know, these people who are really just playing roles on Spirit's behalf in your pathway have already been initiated to deliver something by way of a message or a meeting or a synchronistic event that actually is going to give you an opportunity to have a bit of a pattern interruption and look at something in a new way and try something different. So we want you to be open to that aspect of things. Remember, we're weaving things into our life in a way that's actually going to start to deliver much more permanence and more of a sense of commitment to things that actually feel important and relevant for us. Okay, you got to be ready for all of this starting to come through. Okay, so this is a general reading for the month of February, Aquarius. If you'd like to join me for the extended version, I'm going to just go ahead and pull a couple of personal cards, which will be for a specific question that you have that might not have come up in the main spread. So just put your focus on that for me just now. Go ahead and pull that. Now, all of the decks that I use are in the description box in the comment section underneath. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just clarify this main reading for you now. So we're going to talk for 20 minutes or so in the extended reading. You'll get some deeper insights into these messages, and it's just a way to support my work and the channel. So I'm super grateful for those of you that feel the resonance to join me there. So what do we need to know about the Seven of Pentacles? Okay, coming in with the Six of Pentacles and the Spirit of Swords. Now that is the Knight of Swords, okay. Four of Wands. This deck is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, for those of you that are interested. Okay, so we have the Mystic, which links into the Hierophant. Nine of Wands. The World, beautiful. So Divine Wisdom coming in with a Two of Pentacles here. Ten of Swords. Chance. That's the Wheel of Fortune coming in. I kind of have a sense that the Wheel may be one of these cards that starts to show up a lot in February. These sort of unexpected events are going to be happening, which is why we want you to be in this place of neutral, so that you're ready, like that Chariot energy, to come forth and move very quickly. Awakening coming in. You've got Judgment, Warrior of Cups, Magician, and another Page of Wands coming in there. Bodes really well for some of the creative projects that you might have been working on. We'll delve into that in a bit more detail, but I also think there's some specific people showing up that are meant to be coming in for you. Very significant. We've got the Emperor showing up there and the Empress. Queen of Wands and Queen of Cups coming in here. Beautiful. Seven of Swords, Five of Cups, Five of Wands. That's one of those tricky square situations we're going to be dealing with, but Have no fear, we will get into that in a bit more detail to help navigate a little bit more energy for you. Ace of Pentacles, beautiful. And the Five of Pentacles. Okay, Aquarius, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed the reading. If you have, please do make sure you drop me a like and a comment. You're subscribed to the channel. Again, it helps to support the work that I do. And I will connect with you again next month. But have a beautiful solar return. Sending lots of love to you. Bye for now.